welcome to the last update of System Shock 2. So, where am I exactly?
Thank you for running my errands, puppet. I know you have
struggled, but I never had any intention of destroying the Von Braun. The Von Braun's faster-than-light drive can be used to create pockets of proto-reality.
I am now using it to modify reality to my own
specifications. The process shall not take long. If it sounds unpleasant to you, put your mind at ease, insect. You will not survive to see my new world order.
Yeah, you probably saw that coming a million of miles away. Now that all of our tasks are done, SHODAN decided to betray us. So supposedly we're back on the Rickenbacker now? Because it really looks like the bridge from what I can make out of it, with the exception of all of the huge chunk of mates that are still stuck on the ship. So it's time to spend the last of our modules. This ability allows us to create a huge wall in front of us that will block enemy projectiles as well as the enemies themselves. As for the rest, I honestly have no clue why the hell I'm even buying any of these abilities, because they're completely useless as of now. I mean, I don't really need to put enemies to sleep when I can pretty much put them under my control. And finally, the other ability that I took makes it so that whenever it's activated, guns will not degrade or break. And it's going to be as useful as you think. And finally, we're gonna spend a few points in hacking. So, with that said and done, it's time to say goodbye to cyber modules. And wait, what is that audio log doing here? And Lacroix?
If you are receiving this, I am already dead. When I realized SHODAN had betrayed me, I integrated these comments into her primary data loop. SHODAN has exploited the warping capability of the Von Braun's faster-than-light device for her own purposes. The device works by altering space around the ship to fairly arbitrary specifications. SHODAN has altered it to her specifications. The effect is rather small now, but spreads with alarming speed. Soon it will reach Earth. You are in her world now, her memories, and her rules. Watch your back.
So I guess this is what Lacroix has been up to in the moment that she contacted me back on the command deck when she was trying to talk to me. So, is SHODAN's recreation of a world just like our training simulations? Because this is pretty much what we're staring at right now. Suddenly we are playing Tron.
You are not alone here. SHODAN has spawned her own versions of the Von Braun's horrors. Remember, they are virtual, they are not real. Do not assume anything about their strengths or weaknesses.
The fact that we will be fighting virtual enemies will mean one thing. It is that our worm weapons will be thrown out of the window, because the viral proliferator and the annelid launcher cannot hurt any enemies in the rest of the game.
You travel within the glory of my memories, insect. I can feel your fear as you tread the endless expanse of my mind.
Make yourself comfortable. Before long, I will decorate my home
with your carcass.
Welcome to Citadel Station, aka where everything began. This is where all of the events of System Shock 1 happened, and where SHODAN was engineered, and where she pretty much lost her mind in order to become some sort of super goddess that wanted to rule over the entire world and murder everyone. And just like the body of the many, this place is also quite unnerving because it just feels as if you've just stepped onto the psyche of some really messed up entity. After all, you're inside Shodan's mind now. But what I don't get is that even though she's set on trying to destroy you, she still has the courtesy of including all of those healing supplies all over the ship in order to help us. I'm not really sure what you're trying to do here. Maybe you're implying that I'm bad at this fighting thing, but I will prove you wrong, Shodan. So, inside Shodan's psyche, the only adversaries that you will fight will be those virtual cyborg assassins. They're exactly like the cyborg assassins that we met previously in the game, except that they're a little bit weaker, and finally, for some reason, you cannot hurt them with the worm launchers, and finally, if they gang up on you, it can become really messy, but for the most part, this is not something that should be happening.
Shield activated.
So, despite me not being able to hurt them with worm-like weapons, which hurt barely human targets, these ones are still affected by the ability that allow me to take control of mines, but this one is supposed to affect non-robotic enemies, so I'm not really sure what you're supposed to... okay, so yeah, all of those harmless little polygons are not as harmless as you may think, because they will hurt you indeed. So while the other cyborg assassins that you met in the game were sort of human because you could hurt them with the anti-human mode on the viral proliferator, but since you cannot do it here anymore, well, let's just call them aliens from now on. But all in all, I really like all of the little details that you see on the ship, especially like the little lines of code that went around flying just a few seconds ago. All in all, it kind of makes it look like a very vast yet utterly desolated place where there's some things happening. You know you're on the right track when you see the audio logs, but we'll go have a look elsewhere on the ship to make sure that I did not miss anything. And I'm pretty sure that I didn't, but it's pretty easy to just turn in circles if you're not careful. And it's also hard to make sure that you can read the log and stay safe.
You are near the seat of Sheldons Power. You will probably not be able to defeat her, but there is no choice. Remember to focus on your strengths. She will be vulnerable to your weaponry and your psionic powers. I've been able to introduce some assistance in the form of virtual terminals that you can hack into. They should help you defeat the monster.
Yeah, we're already done with this one section of the game. We're nearing the final encounter. This is ridiculously short, especially comparing to the body of the mini, which went on for so long. If anything, this section of the game feels more like an epilogue than an actual endgame.
You must understand the stakes here. If Shodan is left to continue, her reality will completely assimilate ours. Space will become cyberspace, and Shodan's whims will become reality.
Alright, let's pop in a Psy booster, and let's go avenge the Lacroix.
You are no longer welcome here, nuisance. Why do you stay when you sense my displeasure? I have suffered your company long enough. It is time for our dance to end.
Okay, so I teleported inside the boss room twice, hence why I could not even dodge that projectile. So there's definitely a couple of things noteworthy about this boss fight. First of all, Shodan will attack you with these avatars of herself, and they are very deadly, so make sure that you either kill them or stay out of their way as much as you can. So these are the terminals that Lacroix talked us about. We have to hack them in order to disable all of the shields that are around Shodan. But the catch is, Shodan seems to be very aware of that because the floor around all of these terminals can randomly be electrified, and therefore you have to make your journeys onto those computers as quick as possible. And finally, your hacking skills need to be very high in order to be able to hack those things in the first place, because as you might have seen, the hack difficulty is very high. Even with a maxed out cyber affinity skill as well as a pretty good hacking ability, hacking these is still kind of tough. So if anything, you'll probably want to save all of your high specs in order to hack those really quickly. So with all 3 terminals hacked, it's time to finally go and hack Shodan apart. Only though that standard melee weapons won't do the trick, except the laser rapier. And that's it, Shodan is dead. All in all, that boss fight was kind of underwhelming. But we'll try to make it a little bit more interesting by demonstrating the second way that you can use in order to kill Shodan. Now, I'm just showing this little bit right here because I'm gonna show myself getting a new ability that we have yet to see, which is Cerebro-Energetic Extension, which pretty much turns your Psy-Hamp into a melee weapon. With that said and done, it's time to go back to Shodan. You can also see the strength of the avatar here, because even with a maxed out exotic weapon skill, it takes quite a couple of hits in order to wear it down. If anything, the best course of action is to ignore the avatar entirely, because her projectiles are very slow, but at the same time they do a lot of damage. So if your hacking skill is not good enough to take on the terminals, or if you don't have any ice picks to take care of it, you're gonna have to brute force Shodan by fighting your shields directly. Pretty much any weapon in the game will damage the shield, except for EMP weapons and the worm weapons. Yeah, of course, because worms are completely useless in every single way. The shields also have a lot of hit points. In fact, they have more health than Shodan herself. And there are 6 of them, so you might have to shoot her for a very long while in order to finally be able to wear her down. Since the shields don't have any proper weaknesses or strength, because pretty much every single damage type in the game will fully damage the shield, you can just attack her with anything that you want, but the best weapons to use will obviously be stuff like the grenade launcher, the assault rifle, and even the fusion cannon, which definitely can be useful in this fight. If anything, my character is pretty crappy for fighting Shodan because I don't really have anything fast or efficient against her. In fact, this is probably the best way that I have to deal damage to the shields really quickly. The fireballs will deal full damage to the shields, and it's reasonably fast. With that said, you'll still do more damage over time by using cryokinesis, but if you do so, you're probably gonna have the most boring fight ever. And in fact, what you're looking at right now is probably already very boring as it is, so we're not going to stress things. So that's why you keep your annelid organs, by the way. But with Psy Power, you can still reasonably cheese Shodan, because you can just create those walls in order to completely block the avatar's progress. Because it's not smart enough to try to shoot its way through the shield, but instead it will just try to go around it, which is impossible in that aspect. So I said that most melee weapons won't damage Shodan, but the laser rapier and the Psy weapon will damage her, and even at full damage too.
I don't understand.
How could you have done this?
You weren't
Meant to be
Important. And now
you think to destroy. You think to destroy me.
how dare you, insect?
How dare you interrupt my ascendance? You are nothing.
A wretched bag of flesh.
What are you compared to my magnificence?
But it is
Not too late. Can you not see the value in our friendship? Imagine the powers
I can give to you, human. The cybernetic implants I gave you were simply toys. If I desired, I could improve you, transform you into something more efficient. Join me, human, and we can rule.
and we can rule together.
Nah.
Record log, Tommy Suarez, 13 July 14. We've just received a hail from a crew member on board the Von Braun. They've managed to regain control of the ship. We're going to turn around and head back. I'm a little concerned about Rebecca. She's been acting strangely since we've come on board. She's asleep now. Maybe when we get back to the Von Braun we can...
Tommy, what's the matter, lover? Don't you like my new look?
And that'll be it for System Shock 2. All in all, it's definitely one of my favorite shooters of all time, even if the endgame portion probably could have been better, mainly because the endgame really seemed to have been rushed, either due to time or budget restraint. But all in all, this is a game that is definitely worth playing, and this is a game that also set a whole lot of examples and trends that many other games in the future will eventually use. And finally, it gave birth to the BioShock series, which also is great in its own right. So while we go and watch the rest of the credits, some proper thank yous are in order. First of all, I'd like to thank Chris Lee for having written the Ultimate System Shock 2 analysis. This is pretty much the most in-depth guide that has ever been written concerning the weapons, the skills, and the enemies in this game, and that was pretty much my primary source of information for anything concerning this game because it's really well written and in-depth. So thank you for having taken the time to write this guide, it is great. I'd also like to thank Killer MC and Raving Loon for joining in into the multiplayer videos, which will still be posted in the thread in order to properly finish the thread, and both of you managed to do an incredible job at making these videos both fun to watch and fun to make, despite all of the hardships that were undertaken while recording them. I'd also like to thank Killer MC also for all of the streams of System Shock 2 that he did, which also allowed me to discover some things that I didn't even know about the game and which eventually made its way into the LP. I'd also thank Baldur for allowing me to use Balderdash in order to host this LP, which is a great alternative to YouTube considering that it doesn't diminish the quality of the videos in any possible way, and it's also handy for the people who don't want to sit through the ads. And finally, thanks to every single of the viewers, both on YouTube and on Something Awful, for taking the time to watch all of these videos, and for also posting in the thread on Something Awful. Here's to you, Purple16, Bobbin Threadbare, Oaquinus, Mokino Karo, Anime Schoolgirl, Deus Ex Machinima, Frickin' Moron, A Raving Loon, Lord Pants, Faddest Monk, Zealous, Monkey Fracas, Olvirich, Vuohi, Shakun, Warp Lickin', Gotta Stay Fi! Brewski, Requested Username, Terpellert, Flesh Weasel, SW Madness, Bogle, your evil twin. Srimblur, Hammerfloyd, Sir Dantrike, Hermitien, Mystical Machine Gun, DYZ, PVT. Scott, Twig 1919, This Way Lies Madness, Steak-Flavored Gum, Fabricated, Soridicus, Xenoborg, Marshall Radisic, Dirk the Average, Ajar Goggle, Ninja Economist, Serafina, Shadowed Bacon, Goggle Fox, Mikl, Riggy Rusty, Kunster, Gutsheep, Vlad the Heater, Sugar Addict, Leafy Horb, Monosynaptic, Roxors, Comfy, Muick, Speedball, Apostate Courier, The Protagonist, Tofil, Detective Thompson, Nielsm, Krotowski, Radentorov, Printon, Dematicus, Rulebook Heavily, Commissar Mega, Jada Yellow, Bovenicide, Mailman, Real Hurtling, B-Man in 2288, Blackstone, Burning Stone, The Unlife Aquatic, Section Z, Wugga, Mr. Vile, David's Package, Slow Beef, Feeble, Lord Booga, Late to the Party, Jamie the D, Abstract Napper, Momomo, Nuramore, Pfoderwick, Silly Gooses Inc., Mzbundifund, Lundex, Sylphosaurus, Fixelbrumf, Cyanin Monkey, Xander 77, DK Butts, Pyradox, Sundowner, and Toma. And whoever didn't have enough posts in the thread to show up on the 100 posters list. Hopefully you know who you guys are. And with that said and done, it is time to call this Let's Play a night. So thanks again to every single person who watched these videos. I hope you enjoyed the Let's Play, and hopefully I will see you again into another project that unfortunately I cannot name in the moment, but that I will hopefully bring out in the process. So to all of you, I wish you goodbye. Or if you prefer, salut!